Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Boro Tailgate Talks. It's a bit of a strange episode this week. It's just me sitting in front of my camera by myself. Alone. By myself. Anyway, Mike is still taking his vacation that he apparently deserves. Whatever. Been having some difficulties the last couple days with technology and stuff like that, so episode's coming to you a little late, and it's just going to be me, but this week there's been some big NFL news, so it's going to be short. It's going to be a short, sweet little one, and we'll be back to our full-length episodes next week when Mike is back and everything like that, but for now we're going to go ahead and pretty much just be covering some NFL content today. So, actually going to start off with some MLB stuff, because apparently I still have to do that when Mike's not here. Whatever. He said that the Angels are keeping Shohei Ohtani and that they're idiots for not dealing him because of their tough schedule after the deadline, and they will never have a trade piece like this ever again. Now, that is the only thing I'm going to be talking about for baseball, but I'll talk about it for a minute anyway. I can still kind of relate to this, even though I'm not a big baseball guy. This happens with teams all the time. You know, they have a player that they don't necessarily need or want in terms of contract or in terms of just value to the team, and they trade them at the height of their value around the deadline to a team that really needs them. So, bad move for the Angels, definitely a possibility. I guess we'll see if he ends up being, an important piece for them and they end up winning a lot of games down the stretch, then I guess it'll be a good decision. But other than that, he's probably right on that one. So NFL news-wise, there has been some injuries, and there's also been a lot of signings of extensions for a lot of big players. So we're going to get straight into it. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the newest addition to the Lions defense, who would have been a very, very helpful addition, is day-to-day, and I don't think there's been any specific details reported. All we know is that he suffered a right leg injury of some sort, and it was non-contact, which is very concerning. So there's a good chance he could very, very well end up missing the whole season this year, unfortunately. Same with Jalen Ramsey, suffered a meniscus tear at training camp, and he just underwent surgery, and they're not expecting him to be back until like December at least, which is going to be big because the Dolphins defense, if they would have had, Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey, and have a young guy like Javon Holland, who's been balling out for them, would have been huge. Miami defense is still going to be very solid. They have a very good front seven, but losing Jalen for pretty much the whole season, arguably the best corner in the league, is very, very much going to hurt them. Joe Burrow, who was wearing a right calf sleeve at training camp, suffered a calf strain, so it was non-contact, but it was not an Achilles. It was not a knee thing or anything like that, which a lot of people were worried about. And trainers are saying he should be good to come back by the time the regular season starts. So the Bengals, at most, will have a slightly limited Burrow athletically, but he doesn't really prioritize the run anyway, so hopefully he'll be back and he'll be full speed and he'll be good to go. I personally don't think training camp is a huge deal. He's an experienced player at this point. He knows the system very well. He's been with Zach Taylor like his whole career, I believe, minus maybe his rookie year, but he was injured for half the year anyway. But he knows the system well. He's not necessarily a person who needs to be, practicing every single day at training camp to learn the plays, know the playbook. He knows it well, so he'll be okay. And that is, I believe, it when it comes to injury news. I will double-check right now just to make sure. Jalen Ramsey. Donovan Wilson could miss 4 to 6 weeks because of a right calf strain, the Cowboys safety. Chiefs wide receiver Kadarius Toney is a possibility to be ready for week 1. He had surgery to repair a partially torn meniscus in his knee on Tuesday. Bills running back Nyheim Hines tore his ACL, which is expected to end his season effectively. And then Trey Turner, the Pro Bowl guard who just signed with New Orleans, tore his quadriceps, so he will also be out for the whole season. So we're still in training camp. We're already seeing some guys that are, really getting banged up pretty bad. Other general news, real quick before we get into contract talks. Jordan Addison stupidly got pulled over for going 85 miles an hour over the speed limit, but he apparently was doing it because his dog was having an emergency at home, and that's what he's saying. He issued a public apology saying he made a mistake and used poor judgment, so we'll see. That should just be a fine and, a pretty hefty ticket, but it shouldn't end up in... He didn't cause any accidents or anything, so it shouldn't be anything too super serious or anything like that. In terms of contracts, we got some people that are holding out. We may have mentioned some of these people in the last episode as well, but we're going to mention them again real quick. Chris Jones says that him and the Chiefs are far apart on an agreement for a new contract. That is from Adam Schefter, reported on July 22nd, which was, I believe, last Saturday. Josh Jacobs did not sign his franchise tag. Nick Bosa is currently holding out of camp, and the Niners and them are working towards a contract extension. So hopefully they can reach an agreement with him soon. And finally, the one we definitely mentioned last week, Cowboys guard Zach Martin has not reported for training camp, and he is facing $50,000 in fines for every day that he doesn't show up. Like I said in last week's episode, he's unhappy with his current contract and the team's lack of interest in reworking the deal. So that's a big one. He's a really important part of that offensive line. These guys are all big, big important people. But one of the running backs did sign their franchise tag. Saquon Barkley signed his franchise tag, which is roughly 1 year, $11 million, I believe. So he is going to be there. He had some sort of epiphany, apparently, and now feels confident that he can prove himself on the franchise tag, I suppose, and get a long-term contract, hopefully next year, next offseason. Aaron Rodgers, this is a big one. This one is a big deal, at least in my mind, in terms of the selflessness of it and what it kind of shows Aaron Rodgers is valuing. Aaron Rodgers took a roughly $35 million pay cut from the New York Jets, which is huge. That's a ginormous pay cut. His guaranteed money from that the Jets inherited from his Packers contract was $110 million, and he is now taking it down to $75 million to give back to the organization. A lot of people, including myself, are speculating that this is, leading up to the fact that Dalvin Cook is still a free agent, and the Jets are very much interested in bringing him in since Breece Hall was very good last year, but he did tear his ACL, and there's, plenty of concern about any player being able to come back at full force after tearing up their knee like that. So it's speculated that a lot of this money will be used to bring in Dalvin Cook and possibly some other free agents. I don't think there's any really other notable ones worth signing at this point in the offseason, but the money is freed up. Aaron Rodgers' cap hit this year is only $8.9 million. It's actually less than Zach Wilson's at $9.6. His salary in 2024 will be $38.2 million, which is tied with Derek Carr for 12th among quarterbacks in average annual salary, one spot below Daniel Jones, who's averaging $40 million. So Aaron Rodgers takes a big pay cut, and the Jets players and everyone on the internet has essentially been saying that is really a show that Aaron Rodgers is selfless at this point, and he's really prioritizing winning a Super Bowl over winning MVPs like he did with the Packers. And a lot of people are speculating that possibly this is the real Aaron Rodgers and that he just wasn't happy in Green Bay and just wanted his money and didn't care for the team because he didn't show up to OTAs, he didn't do anything like that. So it's definitely possible we're seeing a new Aaron Rodgers because he's in an environment he likes, and they actually, listen to what he wants and bring in the free agents that he likes and stuff like that. So them bringing in Dalvin Cook could be a huge impact on the ground game, especially for an offensive line that struggled last year and hopefully will be better this year. Dalvin Cook's just kind of got that ability to make plays even when the O-line is bad, with just his speed and his ability to make cuts when he's healthy. So that's could be a big one. And then other huge contracts have been signed. Biggest one, obviously, Justin Herbert just signed a 5-year, $262.5 million deal, tying him to the Los Angeles Chargers until the 2029 season. this could be a very good thing for Justin Herbert, and this could be a very bad thing for Justin Herbert. If the Chargers continue to charger and Brandon Staley doesn't get fired, this could be a very, very, very unfortunate situation that ends up happening. You could see the Chargers having to get out early because he doesn't want to be there anymore, possibly, if they're that bad, which I don't think they will be. They're very talented, but I could see another lackluster season this year in his first year under his new contract. Brandon Staley fired, and then their offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, ends up becoming the head coach, possibly, because he was a very good offensive coordinator in Dallas leading up to this. So look out for that. This is a very possible scenario in my mind. Brandon Staley has severely underperformed with the roster that he has, and he has also failed to keep them healthy. So this could definitely be the last year of Brandon Staley. And we could see potentially Kellen Moore take over, and this team could become a serious offensive powerhouse if that's the case. New York Giants offensive tackle Andrew Thomas signs a monster 5-year, $117.5 million deal. This is great for the Giants. He's consistently been a very good tackle in the league, and if Evan Neal develops this year, it's going to be a very strong offensive line. They've got some veterans in the middle of the O-line as well, so this could be a very good O-line this year and could very much help Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley really tear it up. Trayvon Diggs, cornerback for the Cowboys, 5 years, $97 million. He takes risks, he gets burnt sometimes, but he is a zone hawk, he gets the turnovers. He played really well against Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase this year. The Cowboys held the Bengals to, I believe, 20 points, and they held the Vikings to like 3 in those two respective games. And Trayvon Diggs absolutely clamped those two because he's just an incredibly athletically talented corner. And his zone hawk instincts are very, very high. So I think a worthwhile deal for the Cowboys, but you should still have also paid Zach Martin. So, you got to balance it out, but the Cowboys very clearly wanted to give Diggs the money. They're going to have some serious players to pay coming soon, so we'll see how that ends up going. Cole Kmet, the Bears tight end, who I feel like hasn't been very much talked about, but was a first-round pick, I believe, the year that he got drafted. Signed a 4-year, $50 million extension with the Bears. Very important to have a talented, physical, athletic safety blanket for Justin Fields, so this is a great extension for the Bears. Seattle Seahawks agreed to a 3-year, $59 million deal with linebacker Uchenna Nwosu. They really struggled to stop the run. He's a really athletic linebacker. He can shoot gaps. He can stop the run. He can play coverage. I think this is a great move for the Seahawks to continue to build that defense and continue to make it stronger because that front seven was very weak last year. Texans offensive tackle Titus Howard, 3 years, $56 million. Another big offensive tackle getting paid. Very important that he gets paid. Now, him and Laramie Tunsil are both locked up, which shows that the Texans are very much concerned about protecting their number 2 overall pick in quarterback C.J. Stroud. And then, final one, there's no, at least on the article I have here, Cincinnati Bengals agreed with a 1-year deal for defensive end Trey Hendrickson. I don't know what the info is on the contract or anything, but they added another year to his contract. Very solid defensive player for them. Him, Sam Hubbard, guys like that. Jermaine Pratt, I believe, is still a linebacker there. Maintain that front seven that, gave people some problems up front and helped them make a run to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So, big contracts for players that are already in the league, and it is official. Every first-round rookie from this year's draft has also signed an extension. So, we'll just go through some of the big ones here. The top 2 quarterbacks, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, both signed these are all 4-year contracts because it's a base rookie contract. Bryce Young, $37.95 million. C.J. Stroud, $36.2 million. Anthony Richardson, the other first-round quarterback, $33.9 million. So all the first-round quarterbacks this year got some pretty big deals. Will Anderson gets $35.2. Bijan Robinson gets a pretty solid $21.9. For a running back, that's a pretty good rookie deal. Steelers first round pick obviously is an important one for us. Broderick Jones gets a $16.6 million deal. The Tennessee Titans, where are they? They're on here somewhere. Peter Skoronski, 4 years, $19.67 million. So my 2 teams locking up their future franchise offensive linemen with pretty solid deals. Jahmyr Gibbs, the other first round running back, gets $17.8 million. That's a pretty big deal too. Any other surprising ones on here? I don't believe. Most of these are just what you'd expect from later first-round picks. So those are the big ones. Cornerback Devin Witherspoon got a pretty big one, 4 years, $31.86 million. That's a big contract for a rookie corner. So rookies are getting paid this year. It's good. They all got their bag to start their career, which is awesome because they're young, they're loose, they feel good, and they can perform at a high level. So hopefully we see some pretty exciting results out of these rookies this year. And last thing I'm going to be talking about, like I said, this is going to be a short episode, probably about 20 minutes. I'm sitting at 15 right now. Is the Steelers have not extended Mike Tomlin's contract. This could be a very interesting situation here. I don't really know how to feel about that. Obviously, you want better than just going over 500 every year, and, we haven't won a playoff game since 2017, but it seems like the Rooneys are actually genuinely trying to at least apply pressure on Tomlin, which is not something the Rooneys typically do. They'll just I think we've had like 4 coaches in our entire franchise's history, especially the past, couple decades from, Chuck Noll to Bill Cowher to Mike Tomlin. That's a long period of time covered by only 3 coaches. So we could be seeing the Rooneys growing impatient with the lack of playoff success over the past 6 years, not a single playoff win, including multiple wild card games at home, losing to the Jaguars at home in the divisional in 2017. There's got to be some frustration there, and I'm sure the Rooneys are feeling that from the fans as well. They're very, very much becoming impatient. So I believe that this is to apply some pressure to Mike Tomlin. I think if he really wanted to make a change, he should have fired Matt Canada at the end of the season and hired a good offensive coordinator. But hopefully, Kenny put on some weight. He looks good. He looks sharp. I saw some videos of him throwing at training camp. He looks great. His throwing motions look great. Broderick Jones and Joey Porter Jr. have both been playing very well at training camp, so hopefully this is a talented roster. The defense is really good. The offensive weapons are really young, really talented. Najee, Muth, Deontay, George Pickens, Calvin Austin even. He's a speedster. He could be a really good burner for us. Even Darnell Washington, the big blocking tight end that we drafted. This could be a really, really talented offense. The defense has been superb over the past couple of years. They were top 10 last year, and they only had T.J. Watt for like 7 games or something like that. Alex Highsmith stepped up and had 14.5 sacks in the absence of T.J. Watt. So hopefully this is a very talented Steelers team. Hopefully we can win 11 games this year at least and make the playoffs and win a playoff game. That's the important thing. We've showed that we can make the playoffs. We can win our division. We can, go over 500. But we haven't been able to win a playoff game. So hopefully that's something that changes this year, or I think there could be some serious pressure on Mike Tomlin, and the Rooneys may, surprisingly enough, be looking in a different direction if he does not get extended. So that's all I have for you guys today. Again, bit of a strange episode, only being me. Never happened before. But, we wanted to keep the streak alive. We haven't missed a single week of Tailgate Talks yet. This will be, I believe, 43 straight weeks of Tailgate Talks being out. I know it's coming a little bit late. It's going to be coming on a Saturday instead of a Thursday, but we're still getting it out for you guys, and Mike will be back next week, and we'll have a guest on again, of course, like we usually do for these online shows. So we will be back to normal format next week. Till then, just hang in there. There's some really interesting stuff. Football season's creeping up, and we will see you guys next week.